snowed in.
To
When
be
you're snowed in, it
when
means
you're
you are
snowed
unable
in,
to
you are
leave because
unable
of
to
heavy
leave
snow.
because of heavy snow.
Jen and I were a
Jen
little
and I
bit
were a
snowed
little
in
bit
three
snowed in
times in the
times
past
in the
week and a
past
half.
week and a half.
It wasn't
It
anything
wasn't
major.
anything
Within an
major.
hour,
Within
I
an
could
hour,
clear the
I could clear
driveway,
the
and we were
driveway,
able
and we
to
were
leave.
able to leave.
But if it
But
had
if
kept
it has
snowing
kept
for
snowing
days,
for
eventually
days,
it becomes
eventually
very difficult
become
to
very
get
difficult
out.
to get
We might
out.
call that
You
a
might call
blizzard,
that
where the
blizzard,
snow
where the
just
snow
keeps
just
getting
keep
deeper,
getting deeper,
and you can't
and
keep
you
the
can't
driveway clear. But to be
keep the
snowed in,
driveway
unable
way
to leave
clear.
because of heavy
Unable to
snow.
leave because of heavy snow.
Wind chill. So this
Wind
is an
chill.
interesting
This is an
effect.
interesting effect.
It means
It
feeling
means
colder
feeling
than it
colder
is
than it
because
is
of the
because
wind.
of
And
the
they'll
wind.
actually
And
give
they'll
this
actually
a
give
number.
this a number.
In fact,
In
if I
fact,
look
if
at the
I look
weather
at the
for
weather
today,
for
let me
today,
pull it
let
up.
me
So
pull
it's
it up.
minus
It's minus
23 in the town
23
close to
in the town
me.
close to me.
High of minus
High
12
of
today.
minus 12
The
today.
wind chill
The
will
wind
make
chill
it
will
feel
make it
like minus
minus
22.
22.
So did you hear that?
So you hear
It's going to
that?
be a
It's been
high of
gonna
minus
high
12.
minus 12.
But because of
But
the
because
wind,
of the wind,
it will
it
feel
will
like
feel
minus
like
22.
minus
So that's
22.
the wind
So
chill or the wind
or
chill
wind
effect.
chill effects.
Wind always
Wind
makes it
always
feel
makes it
colder
feel
than
colder
it
than
is.
it is.
So if I
So
go
if I go
outside
outside
on a day
on
where
a
it's,
day where
this is going to sound
this
kind
gonna
of funny.
sound funny.
If it was
If
minus
it was
22
minus 22
with no
with
wind,
no wind
and the sun
and
was
the sun
shining,
was shining,
that is actually
that's
a beautiful
actually a
day to be
beautiful day
outside.
to be outside.
If it was minus 10,
It was
so
minus
12 degrees
10,
warmer,
12
but the
degrees
winds were
warmer, but the
blowing at
winds was
50 or
blowing at
60
50 to
kilometers
60
an hour, that would
kilometers
be
an hour.
unbearable.
That would be
You would
unbearable.
not want
You
to
would
be
not want to
outside
be
for very
outside
long. If you
for
are a
very
member
long.
of the channel,
If
you'll
you're a
see I did a
member
few
of a
members
member-
only videos.
I did
I think
a
one's
few,
called It's Cold, the
video.
other one just says very, very cold.
The other one says very,
Both
very
of those,
cold.
it's
Both
mostly
of them
because
are
of the
mostly
wind.
because of the wind.
You can stay pretty
You can
warm
stay pretty warm
outside when there is
when
no
there are
wind.
no
It can be
winds.
very, very cold, and
It
you can
can
stay
be
pretty
very,
warm.
very cold.
Cold snap, sudden
Cold
cold
snap,
weather.
sudden cold
So this is
weather.
something
This
that
is
can
something
describe
that can
two
describe
things
two
in my
things
mind.
in my mind.
It can be when
It
it
can
goes
be when
from
it
like
goes from like
1 degree
1
to
degree
minus
to
10
minus
overnight.
10 overnight.
It's a cold snap.
It's a cold snap.
But you could also say,
You could also
oh, we're going to
say,
have a
we're
3-day
gonna have
cold
a
snap where it's going to
3
be
days
below minus 20 every day.
Cold snap.
So it simply
The
means
temperature
a
is below
sudden
20s.
change in weather. We are not
We are
really
not
in a cold
really in a
snap,
cold
right,
snap
now.
right now.
It's just cold.
It's just cold
every day.
Every day.
Day after day.
Day after day.
So I would use,
So I would use
instead I would just say
instead of
it's
just
freezing
say it's
or
freezing,
it's very, very
it's
cold.
very, very cold.
Whiteout.
Whiteout.
When snow and
When
wind
snow
make
and
it
wind
hard to
make it
see,
hard
we
to
usually
see. We
use
usually
this term
see this term
when we're talking
when
about
we're talking
driving,
about driving
in bad weather.
in that weather.
So a
in bad
whiteout is
weather.
when
a whiteout
either
is either
it's snowing
it's snowing
or drifting.
or drifting.
Drifting snow
Drifting
is when
snow
the
is
wind
when the
picks the
wind
snow up,
picks the
or
snow
usually
up.
both.
Or
And
usually
there's so
both,
much
and there's so
snow
much snow
that it's very
that
difficult
very
to see.
difficult
It's
to see.
very
It's
dangerous
very
to
dangerous
drive when there are
when
whiteout
there are
conditions.
whiteout conditions.
The other day,
The other day,
it was snowing, and the wind
and
was
the wind
blowing
was
and
blowing
picking up
and
snow,
picking
and
up
we
snow,
couldn't see
and
the
we couldn't
barn
see the barn
from the house.
from the house.
So those of you that
So
are
those
familiar
of you
with
that are
my
familiar
property,
with my property,
because we were
because
in
we were in
whiteout
whiteout
conditions, it is not
not
a good idea
good
to
idea
drive
to drive
when snow
when
and
snow
wind
and
make it
wind
hard
make
to
it
see.
hard to see.
This is actually
This
not
is
too
actually
bad.
not
I've
too
driven
bad.
in
I've
weather
driven
like
in
this,
weather like this.
but there are
But
times
there are
where
times
I
where
have
I have
pulled
to
over
pull over
or pulled
or
into a
pulled
parking
into a
lot,
parking
or
lot,
even just
or
gone
even
to a
just gone to a
restaurant, even though I wasn't hungry, because the whiteouts were so bad that it was dangerous to drive. Sometimes you just take a break and you check the day. Drifting. These kind of look the same, but in this picture, drifting is snow from the ground lifted by the wind. So you see these little streaks of snow going across the pavement. That is what we would consider drifting snow. That snow is not coming from the sky. That snow is already on the ground, and the wind has picked it up and started to move it around. So in the winter, when it is very windy, there's a lot of drifting. Snow from the ground lifted by the wind, and then it often gets deposited somewhere else, usually in a snowdrift. So let me get this picture a little bit bigger for you. You can see here that this fence has caused the snow to pile up. Let me explain this a little bit. When wind picks up snow, when there is drifting, if there is something like a fence, when the wind hits it, the snow falls. So if you have a fence or a car or something outside where the snow is drifting, so it's being carried by the wind, and then when the wind has to go around, for some reason the snow will fall. Actually, it usually falls on the other side, so it gets lifted over and then it piles. So in this picture, the wind was coming. The wind was coming. The wind was coming this way, and as it went over the fence, it dropped its snow and caused a snowdrift, a pile of snow made by the wind. So on a day when there is drifting, you will start to see snowdrifts form, piles of snow made by the wind. And fun to play in if you're a kid. Accumulation. So this person has come outside and they are looking at their vehicle and noticing it is covered with snow. There has been a lot of accumulation, which is the amount of snow that has built up. When it's snowing and the snow lands, it doesn't go away like rain. It just starts to pile up. It starts to accumulate. And so they might say something like this on the weather. 10 to 15 centimeters of accumulation today. That means we're going to get this much snow or this much snow. It's going to land. It's going to pile up on the ground. It's going to result in a lot of accumulation. Snow day. This is my favorite kind of day in the winter. A snow day is a day when school is canceled because of snow. So in places like Canada and in some of the northern US states where there is lots of snow, sometimes they decide it's just too dangerous to drive. People usually still go to work, but children are usually kept at home. So they make a decision that it's going to be a snow day. As a teacher, the night before, you think it might be a snow day because you don't know. And you have to get up early and you have to check on the internet. And at 6:30 a.m. it might say snow day today. And then everyone gets to stay home, including the teachers, which is one of the great perks of being a teacher, I think, is that you have snow days. Very, very fun, very, very enjoyable. You can have a nap. You can do some schoolwork. I do that sometimes from home. But it's like a free day off in the middle of the winter. Very, very fun.
Very, very fun.
Snowplow. So a snowplow is a vehicle that pushes snow off roads. I should say off the roads, but off roads. This is a large truck with a blade on the front. It actually is a dump truck usually in my area. So the back of the truck is usually filled with sand or a mixture of salt and sand or salt. And then the front has a blade. So as they push the snow off the road, a little trickle of salt and sand or sand falls and there's a spinner and it spreads it out. So you will often see the snowplow removing snow, but also salting or sanding the road to make it safer. Snowplows come in all different shapes and sizes, but in my area, the ones that they use on the roads look exactly like this. Really big, with a really big blade in the front. So salt and sand. So I just mentioned salt and sand. This is a common sight in the winter when they can get down to the pavement. So if you put, salt and sand are materials spread to improve traction on icy surfaces. So salt will melt ice and sand will give you traction. And so the two materials are often used in the winter to melt the ice on the roads and to give traction. The problem is salt doesn't really melt snow that well. Like salt will melt ice, but it doesn't really melt snow that well. So we usually get to a point where you can't see the pavement, and they're just putting down a lot of sand in order to. Yeah, the snow is less slippery when there's some sand mixed in it. A snow shovel. So a tool used to move snow by hand, and this is a special kind of shovel. It's usually quite big and wide. It's usually quite light because it's made out of plastic. Snow isn't very heavy. It's not as heavy as dirt. So when you use a shovel in dirt, the shovel needs to be made out of metal. But when you're shoveling snow, you can use a plastic shovel. And you use that to move snow by hand, which is how many people clear their driveway. An ice scraper is a tool used to remove ice from car windows. So it's quite common in the winter. When you drive your car, you have heat inside. And then when you stop driving, the snow lands on the windows, but eventually it melts and freezes because your car is still warm. So the next morning, often there will be ice, and you have to use an ice scraper to remove ice from car windows. And then we also have what is called a snow brush. It's quite common. If you look at this snow brush, which is used to clear snow from a vehicle, it actually has a little ice scraper on the end, a little green ice scraper. It's actually more common to have an ice scraper at one end, and then the brush at the other. That's how our snow brushes look. They have an ice scraper on the end of the handle and a brush on the other end, but used to clear snow from a vehicle. And I think you've seen me do this in one or two videos at least. Donuts, this is something you should never do. Spinning a car in circles on snow or ice. So if you have a rear-wheel drive car, this is very easy to do. If you have an all-wheel drive car with traction control, this is impossible. If you have a front-wheel drive vehicle, you can do this, but you pretty much need to go in reverse. You're going to have to look up a video to see what this actually looks like. But if you turn really sharp in a parking lot, like if I took my van, which is front-wheel drive, and went backwards with the steering wheel turn, it would whip around. Yeah, you're going to have to watch a video. Don't do this. It's dangerous. I think every teenager in Canada has done donuts at one point in their life. But don't. I cannot condone this behavior. I have done this though before. Donuts. Spinning a car in circles on snow or ice. Snow tires. So snow tires are tires designed for better grip in winter conditions. So you'll see this snow tire has two symbols on it. I believe these symbols mean that these tires are designed for driving in snow, and that they are designed to have better grip on ice. You can look them up if you want, but generally in a country like Canada, in November or early December, you will put your snow tires on your car, and then in March or April, you will take your snow tires off and put normal tires back on. So snow tires, the rubber is softer, and the tread, kind of hard to explain, is different. The tread is designed to stay clear of snow, so you always have grip, and the tires are softer, so that like a normal tire in the winter gets quite hard, whereas a snow tire is softer. Black